Hey, this is Trevor Scott Barton, and I'm reading from my story, Fragments of Hilcias and Taki's Notebook. This is chapter 22. The Greyhound bus chugged out of the station in downtown Charleston into the South Carolina night. There were 4,000 miles between Charleston and Point Hope. That's about how far blue whales migrate from Mexico to Alaska, thought Hilcias. If they can make it, maybe I can make it too. The first part of the journey would take 4 days. He closed his eyes. He felt the tires of the bus thump against the road, listened to the soft snore of a soldier in the seat behind him, and swayed gently from side to side as the driver moved from one lane to another around late-night drivers. He drifted off to sleep and became a blue whale, the thump of his giant fluke in the deep waters moving him along at 14 miles per hour. The songs from other blue whales from far-away waters touching his humongous heart, his gigantic body swaying from side to side in the ocean. He woke to the hand of a frail old woman on his shoulder. "Excuse me," she whispered. "I hate to wake you, but my ticket says I'm supposed to sit here beside you." He rubbed his eyes with the fist of his hand and looked up into the face of the woman in the soft glow of the bus lights. There were deep wrinkles in the corners of her eyes and across her forehead. They didn't seem to be wrinkles of worry, like he had seen on his mommy and abuelos' faces as they worked the fields and lived among strangers in small southern towns. No, they seemed to be wrinkles of kindness that might have come from years and years of loving and hoping. The kind of wrinkles you get when you cradle a baby in your arms and rock her deep into the night. The kind that come when you study the small, quiet things in the world and wonder why so few people see or hear or touch the beauty they hold. She tried to keep her eyes open, but they stayed closed a bit longer with each blink, and her head nodded to each passing mile along the interstate. Her breathing came into rhythm with the wheels of the bus on the road. The bus moved around a curve, and she slid ever so slightly against Hilcias's body. His small shoulders sank into her tired, withered breast, and his smooth cheek rested on the folds of skin on her thin, bony neck. Her gentle breaths made a soft whistle through her nose, so soft no one who was as close to her as Hilcias could hear it. Because of Hilcias's gift of understanding the whistles and songs of whales, he could also understand the deep, unspoken things inside of people. He understood the story her soft whistles told. "When my children were your age, they walked to school along a dirt road. 'Bout halfway there, a school bus would pass 'em by every day. It'd stir up more dust than you ever seen in your life on that dust would swirl around my children, cling to their skin, and turn the water in their eyes to mud. Why won't that bus stop and pick us up, Mama?' they asked me. Well, I know there'd come a day when I'd have to sit by my children at the table and tell them about the way things was, about how a school bus with white children on it couldn't have black children on it too, 'cause that's the laws of men's hearts. But I know that day hadn't quite come yet. I hope so much in my own heart that 'fore that day came, a new day'd come, when the laws of God's heart had overcome the laws of men's hearts, and that bus would stop, open its doors, and welcome my children on board. Don't you all worry about that bus now, you hear?' I answered my children. 'Listen now, when that bus passes you by, you stop for a minute and think about that dust all around you. Breathe deep and let it fill your lungs till you breathe it out with your breath. Then take the back of your hands and rub them in your watery eyes till the mud comes off on them. You think about that dust and that mud. You remember that dust is made up of tiny little dust particles, so small you can't see 'em with your eyes lest they all together. And you remember that mud is what we all made of, all of us, folks inside the bus and outside the bus. One kind of mud ain't superior to another kind of mud. It's all just the stuff God made us out of. Remember that, my loves. Remember that. Hilcias listened to her sleeping, listened to the soft whistles of her breathing, listened to her life, and he loved her. A blue whale's heart is as big as a Volkswagen Beetle, he thought. It must feel love very deeply and widely, because its heart is so deep and wide. My heart is just the size of my fist. I wonder if it can hold as much love as a blue whale's heart. I don't know. Why do I love her? Maybe it's because we're the small, quiet ones in the world who no one sees or hears. Have you heard of the narwhal whale? Along with the beluga whale and the bowhead whale, it is an Arctic whale, living its whale life in the icy water of the cold, cold seas. It's called the unicorn of the sea because it has a single horn that protrudes up to 9 feet out of its lip. In older days, its horn was given to the kings and queens of Europe to use as scepters, for many thought there was great power and even magic in it. It's not really a horn, though. It's a tooth. Like a human tooth, it is very sensitive. If a narwhal tooth breaks, it causes the poor narwhal a sharp and abiding pain. When that break occurs, an astonishing thing happens. It is the great power of the narwhal horn. Another narwhal places its tooth into the broken part of the tooth of the hurting narwhal. That act of kindness assuages the pain. I hope my hand on her hand might assuage her pain too, he thought.